Imagine you are sitting on a small boat, drifting gently in the middle of a lake early in the morning. Mist hangs in the air, the atmosphere is still, and in that moment, you feel a strange connection. You are no longer an ego trying to fight the world. You are the lake. You are the mist. You are that stillness. But then the mist clears. You step ashore. You walk into the office, into the coffee shop, or return home. And suddenly, bam! Someone rushes in with their noise. Someone throws complaints in your face. Someone tries to control how you dress, how you think. And that feeling of immense peace shatters like a soap bubble. You feel your chest tighten. You feel your energy being drained. And our most natural reaction, the reaction programmed into the brain, is that we start building walls. We call them toxic people. We label them as bad guys. We think, if I could eliminate these people, my life would be paradise. But slow down. Sit down here with me for a moment by this fire. What if I told you that the discomfort you are feeling does not entirely come from them? What would happen if I said that the fatigue comes from you unintentionally participating in a game that you are not even aware of? You see, human society basically is a giant arena of dramas. Alan Watts often spoke about the concept of Lila, the universe's game of hide and seek. Every person we meet is wearing a mask, playing a role to forget the core fear inside themselves. When you meet a person who exhausts you, it is not that they are attacking you. It is that they are inviting you to step onto their stage. They hand you a script and say, "Hey, play the role of my victim," or "play the role of my savior." And the reason you lose peace is because you accepted that script. You started acting. Today, we will not learn how to destroy enemies. That is the mindset of war. We will learn the art of the empty boat. We will dive deep into the psychology of 5 types of people, or more accurately, 5 types of games that you often encounter. We will dissect what is really happening inside them based on fear and escape, and how you can smile, bow, and walk through their storm without getting your shirt wet. This is not escape. This is ultimate understanding. Let's start with the most common type. Those who cannot stand silence. The drama addicts. You know them. Their life is a series of disasters, one after another. Today they argue with neighbors. Tomorrow they are oppressed by the boss. The day after they are betrayed. And when they meet you, they dump all that stuff on the table like a pile of colorful garbage and force you to dig through it with them. You try to give advice. You say, "Why don't you do this? Why don't you ignore it?" You think they want a solution. But strangely, the more solutions you offer, the more reasons they find to reject them. And finally, you are the one exhausted while they are satisfied going to find someone else to complain to. Why do they do that? From Alan Watts's perspective, the ego, the self, is a very fragile thing. It is like a shadow. It needs light shining on it to appear. Drama addicts are people who are terrified of emptiness. If everything is quiet, if no one argues with them, if there is no crisis, they will have to face a terrifying question: who am I? They feel like they are dissolving, so they create noise. They create disturbance. Conflict for them is proof of existence. Like you pinching your arm to know you are awake. They pinch life, pinch you to feel the pain, because the pain makes them feel real. They are stuck in a feedback loop. They scream to hear their own voice, but the scream scares them, so they scream louder. So what must you do? You cannot force them to be silent. That is like trying to flatten a lake surface with an iron. You only disturb it more. The secret here is, do not become their echo wall. When they throw you an emotional fireball, do not catch it nor hit it back. Let it fall to the ground. Listen to them the way you listen to the wind whistling outside the window or thunder rumbling in the distance. You know the storm is there, but you do not open the door to invite the storm into the house. Do not offer solutions to someone who does not want to solve the problem. Just be present. A silent presence. Sometimes your very silence will scare them and make them leave, or more miraculously, that silence will spread to them. But whatever happens, do not play the role of audience for their play. The second type is those who live with a false belief that they can force the universe to operate according to their will. We call them the controllers. They have a long list of rules. You must eat like this, must work like that, must live according to route ABC. If you deviate, they will get angry or use silence to punish you. You feel suffocated. You feel like a child being monitored. And then you start arguing. You try to prove, I am right, you are wrong. Or worse, you try to change yourself to please them, cutting off your most brilliant parts to fit into the tiny box they offer. Let's look deep into the heart of a controller. Alan Watts often spoke about the futility of trying to smooth ripples with hands. The controller is actually the weakest person. Inside them is a huge fear of the uncertainty of life. They realize, at some deep unconscious level, that life is a wild flow impossible to grasp. This terrifies them. Therefore, they build dams to stop the water. They try to freeze the river. Their controlling you is not because they hate you, but because you are an unpredictable variable. Your freedom, your spontaneity, shakes the fake order they are clinging to. They want to turn you into an object because objects are more predictable than humans. They are playing the game of playing God, but a God full of anxiety and trembling. You cannot beat them with logic because fear does not listen to logic. The only way to deal with someone who wants to block the flow is become water. Water never argues with the rock blocking the way. Water does not stop to punch the rock. Water flows past. Water flows around. Water seeps into the ground and goes another way. When they impose, do not resist forcefully, because that is the energy they want, friction. Be soft but firm in drifting along your own flow. Say, I understand your point, but my path is this. Do not try to change them. Let them hold on to their rigid order if that makes them feel safe. As for you, just drift. In Taoist philosophy, the softest always overcomes the hardest. Your freedom does not need their permission. Next is a type of person very hard to identify because they often arouse compassion in us, the eternal victims. These are not people who just had a sad event. These are people who have turned sadness into their identity. They bring out old wounds from 10-20 years ago to polish every day like a medal. They tell you again and again about how their parents were wrong, how their ex was terrible, how the world is unfair. You want to save them. You want to be a hero. You reach out to pull them up. But the more you pull, the heavier they get. And then you realize they are pulling you back down into their hole. You feel guilty when you are happy in front of them. Why would someone want to suffer forever? This is a psychological paradox that Alan Watts calls the trap of karma. They believe that the past is something real, weighing on the present. But actually, the past is just the wake behind the ship. That wake does not steer the ship. The ship is steered by the engine in the present. But they choose to live at the stern, staring at the wake. Why? Because being a victim brings an underground power. When you are a victim, you don't need to take responsibility. You have the right to demand attention, indulgence. And more importantly, pain gives them a very clear ego. If they let go of pain, who will they be? They fear the emptiness of having nothing left to be sad about. They cling to the sharp thorn, because that thorn is the only thing they know. This is the hardest lesson. Compassion does not mean drowning together. You cannot save a person who loves their cage. Realize that their playing the role of victim is also part of their soul's experiential journey. Perhaps they need to learn that lesson a little longer. Do not try to strip away their pain. Do not say, cheer up. Respect that pain as a choice of their soul. But, and this is the important, but, do not let them turn you into an emotional trash can. Keep distance. Live your brilliant life. Sometimes the best way to help a person in the dark is not to sit in the dark with them, but to stand in the light so they see that, the sun is still out there. The fourth type is those who see faults everywhere. The judges. They judge strangers' clothes, judge friends' lifestyles, judge politics, religion, weather. Their world is divided into two distinct halves, right and wrong, good and bad, noble and base. And of course, they always stand on the right side. Next to them, you walk lightly, speak softly. You are afraid. You start censoring yourself. You are afraid of being labeled by them. Your naturalness, your innocence is suffocated. Let's look at the mechanism of judgment. Alan says that people condemn in others what they cannot accept in themselves. This is the mechanism of projection. The judgmental person is actually someone having a brutal civil war inside. They have desires, dark sides shadow that they dare not admit. They suppress it down. And to feel clean, they see those stains in others and attack them. They are like a knife wanting to cut off the bad, but the knife cannot cut itself, so it goes cutting everything around. Their judgment says nothing about you at all. It is their own confession about fear and insecurity. They do not see the world as it is, Yathabhutam. They see the world through the distorted lens of rigid moral concepts they use to bind themselves. Do not seek recognition from a blindfolded judge. When they judge you, consider it as meaningless noise. Remember the Zen story about the cypress tree in the courtyard. When people asked about sublime concepts or judging right and wrong, the Zen master pointed to the cypress tree. The cypress tree just is a cypress tree. It does not worry about being tall or short, beautiful or ugly. Practice the habit of hearing without receiving. Let their judgments pass through you, like wind blowing through a door crack. Do not hold on. Do not justify. Just smile. The smile of a person who knows that my value does not lie in your mouth. And finally, the most common type in modern consumer society. The hollow ones seeking filling. The energy vampires. They are people who cannot be alone. They jump from this relationship to that relationship. They shop madly. They cling to you, demanding your time, attention, love insatiably. They suck your energy like a black hole. You think that if you give them enough love, they will be okay. You think you can fill them, but the more you pour in, the emptier they get, and you are exhausted. Why are they never satisfied? Alan Watts has a classic example. They are like a hungry person entering a restaurant, but instead of eating food, they sit and eat the menu. They confuse the symbol money, fame, attention of others with reality, the feeling of wholeness inside. They think happiness is something lying out there, something that can be grasped, possessed. They do not realize that they are inherently the universe. You cannot add anything to the universe, nor can you subtract anything. Their lack is an illusion created by the mind always whispering that, I am not enough. You must understand a cruel but liberating truth. You cannot fill another person's cup if that cup has no bottom. Your leaving or setting boundaries with them is not selfishness. It is an act of awakening. When you stop supplying painkillers, which is your attention, they are forced to turn back to face their wound. And that is when true healing begins. Do not turn yourself into a sacrifice for the emptiness of others. Return to them the responsibility for their lives. To close this journey, I want to tell you an ancient fable that Alan Watts loved very much, the story of The Empty Boat by Zhuangzi. Imagine you are rowing a boat on a river. From afar, you see another boat rushing straight towards you. You shout, "Move away, watch where you're going." But the boat keeps rushing forward. Anger flares up in you. You curse, you scream. And then, the boat slams into you. You stand up intending to teach the boatman a lesson, but when looking over you realize that boat is empty. There is no one on it at all. It is just a boat that slipped its knot, drifting with the current. Immediately your anger vanishes. You cannot be angry at an empty boat. Dear friends, the 5 types of people we just talked about: drama addicts, controllers, victims, judges, hollow ones. All of them essentially are empty boats. There is no real villain sitting there trying to intentionally harm you. There are only fears, old traumas, false programming of the past, driving their boat rushing unconsciously. They are being swept away by the stream of karma, by psychological habits that they themselves cannot control. When you look at them as empty boats, you no longer hate them. Resentment dissolves. You simply gently steer your boat aside. That is not cowardice. That is wisdom. That is the understanding of a stream of water knowing how to bend around a rock to continue the journey to the big ocean. Keep your peace, not by building walls of separation, but by expanding your heart like the sky, where dark clouds are allowed to pass thunder growls, but the sky remains forever deep blue and silent. Do not try to change the river. Be water. And just like that, flow on.